Alright, delicious people, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be really interesting because I have decided on a little bit of a thing. And to give a little bit of context, I kind of sort of have been watching a little bit of educational videos on content creation. And apparently there's a lot of them talking about how there's two different kinds of content creators that tend to be pretty good. And that is the ones that either produce emotional or logistical value. And I think I've mostly been more of somebody who tries to teach people things. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on that in my long form content. I still will have the shorter contents of like me doing clips and me doing like shorts and stuff. But I'm mostly going to be focusing on those being entertaining, while the long-form content is going to try and get to give you some information or something that is really interesting, like some, I guess, fish facts or something, I don't know. But yeah, that's where my brain is going today, but while we're doing that, we'll get you some gameplay and we'll do that. We're gonna be farming characters today, so yeah. What was the thing we're gonna say? Building characters while building character or something like that. Yeah, that's what it was. We're gonna be building characters while building character. Let's get it on, and hopefully we remember what conversations we're gonna have because I forgot some of them. Anyway, let's see you there. Oh, actually, I have a really good, fun thing to learn that has something to do with the game, actually. So, a lot of people will say that you want to build a weapon with attack on the weapon, but I found out through some testing with a viewer that, oh, hold on, I also forgot to do that. Boop! I'm gonna sit down, bring out my controller, there we go. But a lot of people would say you should build a weapon with attack on the weapon. But I found out, weirdly enough, that the attack is all one stat. Meanwhile, elemental attack and attribute attack are completely different. And I believe from my test, attribute and elemental attack are multiplicative on top of attack. So that basically means what you want to do instead of build for attack on your weapon is you want to build attack on your character, and then you want to build attribute attack on your weapon if you want to make your weapon do damage. Also, as you can see, I have Suyi. Suyi? Suyi, yes. But it's a fun little thing I found through testing, and it was actually pretty interesting. There's also this thing where, from what I can tell, when it comes to survivability, a really good thing to do is to invest in shields, because apparently, for some reason, shields tend to just say no to damage when you have high defense, because apparently, for some reason, in this game at least, defense affects shields, so that's cool. Yeah, some game stuff for anybody who's interested. I'll probably show a demonstration on that on my first build video, which I'll be focusing on weapons more than anything. Then again, my Suyi is really interesting. Oh, actually, on Suyi, so Suyi, people were, I was talking to a bunch of people who said that she was nerfed heavily, and it was a really bad thing. I do see, however, from testing her, firsthand, that she is doing like 1 million damage and 2 million damage at least, at the most, with her sword swings. So I don't really think she's like too nerfed, because doing 1 million damage per swing is fucking insane. Like,
that's her nerd. How was she going to be released?
Yeah, like, yeah, that's very true. Like, how was she when she wasn't in there? That's scary.
Yeah,
That's a scary thought.
Was she like fucking meta before she was there? Like,
yeah, but like from what I can tell, she is still very powerful. One thing is though, she doesn't seem to be like egregious levels of power creep level damage, because there are actually a couple characters who can do the same amount of damage in a shorter amount of time. Like, yeah, you could say, like, you can cut the animation of Su-Yi's attacks, but you can also do the same thing with other characters, too. Which I don't know how to cut her animation. I don't know how that works. I tried to do it, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how to do it. But, yeah. That is, unless they fixed it. Then again, I think, yeah. I forget what the cut was, but either that or I'm doing it too fast. It could also be a thing.
If it could, so, well, you could be doing it too fast,
I think, I think a really interesting thing is, even though she's doing like 1,000,000 damage per swing to a wide group of enemies, I would say my Tabathy isn't too far off. Mostly due to the fact that Tabathy is doing like 30 to 40, sometimes even 60 or 70,000 damage with multi-shot, and the multi-shot is like pretty high. And it's per shot, and the shots are usually pretty fast. So yeah, she's far off, but she's not that far off, and that's Tabathy. Then again, Tabathy has golden relics, but not relics, I mean golden wedges. But Su-Yi has purple. However, Su-Yi also has fucking, what's that? She has Scorch. She has 4 copies of Scorch on here, which is really nice. Which I wish Tabathy could have Scorch. That would be cool. Fuck going with health tank, like health Tabathy. I want Scorch on my Tabathy. I would switch to Scorch so fast. I think one thing is though, I think the thing that people are actually missing is less of the power of Su-Yi and the fact that, oh, I want to build 2 Consonance weapons instead of just pile on some what you call it? Oh, I'm inside her. Anyway, instead of like going in and just putting attack and ability stuff or skill stuff, they wanted to have Consonance weapons, which I think would be interesting. Because then I would give her more options besides just swing your sword. Also, have you seen the size of this fucking sword?
Oh yeah, that's fucking massive.
Yeah. I was thinking she was like Jade, but I don't think Jade has a big ass sword. Because like she does have projectiles, but she also has this big ass sword, so I think the big ass sword is just kinda better actually. I think I would actually prefer if Jade had a big ass sword. And her nuke is satisfying, I'm not gonna lie.
That's still pretty good, Jade.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm gonna farm for her or not, so. I think I wanna just buy Jade.
Oops.
Farm for her. I don't know. The farm. But,
I just remembered something that we were talking about that we wanted to rehash. I have decided that, what I'm gonna be doing with my whole not playing Warframe anymore thing is instead of, like, just quitting without saying anything, and without basically like saying goodbye to the Warframe audience, because there are people who are only here for Warframe, as I've noticed. But I have decided to do a goodbye like series of content where I do one last like set of streams for Warframe. And essentially just kind of sort of say goodbye to the whole entire game, I guess. And because like when it comes down to it, I'm still like grateful for the game for like providing a lot of like things for me, because I actually learned a lot about content creation from Warframe, as well as the fact that I learned how to not like take games less seriously, but learned how to have fun in games other than just being good at them. And I also found out like there's other ways I can enjoy a game other than like achieving something, right? Like I don't have to like beat the best boss, the biggest, evilest boss in the game to really have fun. And it's one of the reasons why like I'm not a meta player is actually because of Warframe. In actuality, I used to be a super meta whore. But after essentially maturing a little bit from some Warframe mishaps, I actually decided that I prefer to play a game the way I want to, rather than playing a game that other people want me to play, you know? Also, I just got a gold. Oh.
Yeah, I need to reset that.
Okay. Yeah. But, essentially, I have this... Oh, I was pressing the wrong button. Anyway, but anyway, there's this weird thing where, I kind of sort of don't want to just leave randomly. Because when it comes to my content in general, I don't plan on just leaving randomly if I ever stop making content. I do want to, you know, let people know I'm leaving. Because a lot of people would say, oh, you don't want to be so dramatic and stuff. But my thing is less about the drama and more the fact that if I'm leaving, I should probably let you know. So you know to deal with it the way you feel like dealing with it. Because like one of the things is like if you are expecting me to someday make more content and I never do, like instead of just actually having closure of like, oh, I'm just leaving, you're just usually gonna wonder like, oh, what the fuck happened, right? It's like as if PewDiePie didn't make his video about like, hey, I'm gonna be a family man doing vlog videos now. If you're still gonna be here for that, that's fine. But my family is more important right now, and people appreciate that. People who are there since the beginning are still there, you know? And that's kind of the kind of thing I want to do. Is it's kind of like me moving on to blog content. Is me moving on to like gameplay commentary. And I specifically want gameplay commentary that's more intelligent than just, hey, here's this really cool high-level gameplay that's meant for like really high amounts of pleasure. I want to provide a intellectual value. So just like my streams where I'll randomly just pop out a life lesson that I had just randomly, you know? Essentially like the gameplay, the non-streaming equivalent of like Josh Drive Haze. Because I found that the audiences that tend to enjoy that kind of content are the people who are a little bit more mature. And I've never been someone who constantly like consumes like just content for the sake of pleasure. Because I was told that no matter what, every single day, learn something, even if it's something that isn't real, because then your day has at least had something of intellectual value, you know? Like I said earlier, I watched a video earlier, and I do agree that it's good to have value, but there is more value than just intellectual, because that guy was talking about how, oh, you have to teach somebody something or you didn't have any value. No, there's value in entertainment. Entertainment actually has pretty big value. It's the reason why there's so much money put into it. But what I want to do is provide something other than mental value. Or no, emotional value. Emotional value, yes. Like, I'll give you emotional value. But it's not the only thing I'm going to give you, you know? It's not like I'm gonna be doing, it actually is similar to, the Game Grumps, where the Game Grumps, yeah, they're funny, but they're not, like, overly edited and, like, brain rot content. A lot of the interesting things I've actually learned is from actually sitting there and listening to the Game Grumps talk. Which is probably not the best thing to say that I learned from the Game Grumps, but they do have interesting, like, topics that you can actually learn from. And yeah, I have music and some cuts and stuff to cut off some things that shouldn't be there. But it's mostly going to be long-form stuff you can listen to in the background. And maybe even look at the screen when I feel like when there's something that is actually interesting to listen to, you know? Also, I think I just did 26 million damage to a group of enemies.
Gold.
Oh, you got a gold? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just need one more gold. I have, I think, 4. Oh, the constellation system actually feels good.
Oh, also, I forgot to say this specifically. Do you remember how my computer was fucking up? I think I'm gonna post about it and everything.
Yeah.
So Jazz actually suggested something that actually worked. So apparently, Google released an update that has this thing where it's crashing AMD graphics cards. And it's because there is an optional update that is included, which you go to your updates and then you go to advanced settings and you go to optional updates and then click on it. And you'll be able to fix it because of the fact that there is a problem with driver compatibility. I read the title of the program, or the title of the program. It is literally called, like, driver compatibility or some shit. So they literally accidentally separated driver compatibility into a completely different update and then release that fucking update as an optional update. And I'm over here like, what the fuck? And here I thought it was like, I thought it was my fault, or I thought it was like AMD's fault. I was blaming everything until I finally came across Google. And keep in mind, I have Googled this for like 3 days. I've been Googling everything in different terminology and different like words, everything. And I couldn't figure it out. Jazz, I don't know how she figured it out, but Jazz just kind of sort of told me it was an optional update, and I found the button, and yeah, it was the problem.
Because I had to learn on my own as well.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why is none of my shit working? Like, all of my games were at like a single digits, like 4 was the highest peak I got.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I getting no frames?
And I've had one, yeah.
Nothing was there, and I was like, oh, what's this optionals? What's this little button down here that says optional updates? Maybe I should check that out. Went to it. That the optional updates find you a month later. So I had to deal with low, not a month, but like 2 to 3 weeks of the crappy frame rate. Why am I getting the frames of the optional update? And well, you know, it was a driver's update and it fixed everything.
Yeah. I think legitimately, because I've always said this weird thing of like, hey, technology is supposed to be like convenient. That's the whole point of technology. And I've always had this major problem with like technology just not being convenient. The reason why is because like, contrary to what businesses believe, making things more inconvenient isn't gonna get them more money. In actuality, people want convenience. So the best way to actually get an assload of money off of people who are trying to use technology is to literally make your version of technology as convenient as possible. Because legitimately, who the fuck wants to use technology, which is traditionally a thing that makes things more convenient, when it is literally a technology that makes things less convenient, right? Like imagine like a bike that is harder than walking. Might as well just fucking walk at that point, right? That's the thing is like, or like imagine a car that is like pedaled like a bike, and that's the only way you can make it go. Yeah, that would suck. Like, that's the kind of stuff, like, technology I'm talking about. Is like, this is literally a pedal-operated car situation with some of these technologies. Which I don't know if that's the right analogy, but like, I think it's accurate in my head. It's like that's kind of sort of like the technology we're running into nowadays. It's like, oh, don't give them ideas. If they come out with that, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm not gonna lie. They come out with a fucking pedal-operated fucking car. It's like, oh, it's an electric-powered car, and it's operated by pedaling, so you can like charge it as you're going. Yeah, but like, fuck that. I'm on a car because I don't want to ride a bike, and I don't want to walk. Don't make it harder for me.
Bring back the idea of just water-powered vehicles.
Yeah.
Bring that whole, like,
Oh, okay.
thing back.
Oh, I fell to the floor. Yeah, that's funny.
I enjoy that video where he just, like, clipping into the ground.
Oh yeah. I all I got was like a fucking like shot of Suyi's cooch, and then all of a sudden I was in the floor. It was crazy.
Awesome. Also, after this one, we got reset again on the thing.
Okay. I always keep forgetting that your builds aren't complete because you're not as far in the story as I am, or like you don't have the high like account rating. I think is what it is.
Well, my account is level 50.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Maybe it is the builds. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll get you a good weapon.
Yeah. The warfare section all over again.
Yeah.
I just don't have pretty good mods and I'm trying to do endgame.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the one thing about endgame. Oh shit! I got a full Hellfire. But I think that's the one thing about like endgame that a lot of people sometimes forget is that endgame is supposed to be like towards the end of the game, and a lot of people haven't completed the game yet to be able to do that, or they rush the game. It's kind of like playing Monster Hunter and expecting to beat Fatalis with bone armor. You can do it, but you're gonna need a lot of like resource. Oops. Alright, so fun little thing I actually wanted to rehash from the last video. People actually were asking like why would I play this instead of Warframe? I know people were also saying like agreeing with me what I said last time, but I'll probably like see if I can figure out a way to say it better. Essentially, the reason why I don't want to play Warframe is mostly the reason that I've had for a while, of like, I actually found out it's like been 5 years too, but I have been tired of Warframe's bugs and glitches for like 5 years in total, and maybe even longer at this point. But I finally managed to find a game that is providing me with the same like substance while also just not being broken. And legitimately, I have been legitimately asking for like a way out for like 5 years, right? And it got to a point where instead of just being tired of it, I became sick of it. I'm no longer tired of Warframe's bugs, I'm sick of Warframe's bugs, which is actually not good. It basically causes it to where it's now malicious, is my dislike of the game. And I don't like that. I don't like being malicious towards a game that I'm constantly playing, especially when I'm streaming it and all I do is bitch. I don't like that. I don't like constantly bitching. I also don't like seeing content creators constantly bitch about shit, you know? And so I decided that I wanted to stop playing. And the thing is this game, a lot of people would say like, hey, it's not doing well. But I will say the same thing I said last time. In actuality, there's more than just a massive number that says whether or not you're successful. In actuality, whether or not you're successful is a mixture of things, and it doesn't necessarily just mean size. And from what a viewer basically said, was essentially the game is doing like passively, which is completely fine. And they said there is room for improvements, and those improvements will be centered more towards the current audience rather than trying to get more people because it's more valuable to like accommodate the people who are already there, because if anybody is gonna know what's wrong and whether or not it needs to be fixed, it's the people who are still there, who are still experiencing said the situation, right? It's like the problem with like Nintendo's Pokemon, for example, is the fact that it's not necessarily people who don't want to play Pokemon who are complaining. It's the people who obviously do in fact want to play Pokemon, who want Pokemon to do better, right? Doesn't mean that Pokemon's not like the most lucrative fucking IP in the entire like gaming scene, but it's more the fact of like there are problems that probably are fixable that aren't being fixed, right? Duet Night Abyss is in actuality doing like pretty well for a game that is contending with a industry giant, right? Especially since when you chalk up the reality of how video games work, the whole entire like, oh, your game needs to be doing like hundreds of thousands of people per week in order to be successful, that's not necessarily how games actually work. There's a lot of games that go under the radar that only pull about like 500 to 600 people, and they're still very like lucrative. Like a really good example is Dungeon Defenders 2 is a really good example, where that game is pulling like numbers below the thousands, and it's still a actual working game, right? They're still able to feed their families with the money that they get. Yeah. But like, well, they never, last time I checked, at least in Steam, they had like only like a 500 every week or something. But that's also the thing of like, they're also on console and stuff.
I'm remembering the original Dungeon Defenders.
Yeah, Dungeon Defenders 2 is pulling like a pretty decent size of people. And that's the thing is like, people forget that 1,000 people, like more than 100 people per month and per week is actually a pretty decent number. Because in actuality, thousands of games are released every year, and only about 5 of them per month even end up on anybody's radar as like, this is like a game I need to talk about in actual like content, right? The fact that Duet Night Abyss was even talked about in the first place as a contender really is a lot more important than you would think. And legitimately, like, it does provide a lot of what Warframe provides, it's just not as buggy, you know? I mean, it doesn't provide everything, and some of the things do have their issues, but same thing with Warframe, where it does provide value, but it has a lot of issues that a lot of people will forget about when they're talking about Warframe. But when it comes down to it, like, despite them not pulling millions and millions of players every month, they are doing passably, which is a lot more, you could say, for a game than you would think, you know? And I think that's the kind of sort of the important thing as to why I want to make content on the game, is because despite what people say, it may be pulling lower numbers, but it's not dying yet. But it's the same thing with like Warframe, of like, Warframe is pulling big numbers, but I have met a lot of people who have major complaints about Warframe. And every single one of them is either the narrative goes too fast, the narrative is going in a direction that is not their style, the monetization is starting to tip towards a place they don't want it, and the last one is the bugs. And a lot of the people who complain about the bugs have been complaining about the bugs for like fucking years. And they unironically have been telling me if it wasn't for the fact that Warframe was the biggest option and the best option, they would have been playing something else a long time ago. So it's a weird thing where like that's kind of sort of where a lot of people are at right now. A lot more than you would think. But yeah, that's just like that's basically my big 2 cents on the reason why I don't want to play Warframe, as well as the fact of like why I want to do it in Abyss instead, even though I've mentioned that I don't like being late to a game that's dying. It's because I don't really think the game is like dying, you know?
Yeah. I also got the part donated.
Oh, nice. You're a big bitch! Alright. So, right now, I believe I decided that we're gonna do the music video portion of the thing. Me and Jazz are gonna talk about more personal and more, off-camera topics while we get you to listen to some music. How about that? Anyway, as soon as we get there, I will start that. And so, yeah. I hope you enjoy. Ready? Let's begin. Oh my god, they gave... I'm probably gonna include this too, but they gave Snow Side Squish. There's actually a couple of people who say the game doesn't have that much detail, but weirdly enough, there's very few games that include side squish on something like a bandage. Which, well, I understand why Vita has bandages. She's like horribly scarred. But why does Snow have bandages? Is that just like a sock for her?
Maybe.
I don't know. She's like, no, don't look at my feet. I am looking at your feet. They're like fascinating little feet. Like Vita has like horrible scars apparently, and a missing eyeball. Like it makes sense why she would have bandages.
More expansive.
Which the game literally does reference the fact that she has only one eyeball, which is interesting. She apparently has a whole entire spew about how she used to know a kid who called her a fucking Cyclops or some shit. Was it Cyclops or a one-eyed bitch? It was one of the two. I think it was either one-eyed Cyclops or it was one-eyed monster. That kid called her a one-eyed monster.
Are we going on an adventure today?
I think, yeah, I was about, yeah, you know what? That's what's going to be titled. Two one-eyed monsters go, two one-eyed monsters build character while building characters. There we go. Two one-eyed monsters.
God,
Yeah, that's-
that is
Mm.
awful.
Two one-eyed monsters. Or I can also do like wake up, it's time to build characters while building character. I don't know.
Yeah, you should do that one.
I should do that one.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Or more sense anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, it has in fact been a singular hour, and I think it's time for us to do the thing. So I will see you guys later. Have wonderful, wonderful nightmares. I will see you in them. And remember, watching my content. I know you into it. Honey, honey. Good night.